Shoutout, Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey y'all, hey, welcome to the show. It's me, Tamara. Yes, so all my new listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. New episodes drop every Thursday like clockwork. You feel me? And on my day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know where you came in at and you decided to stay. Thank you so much. Struggling already, but it's cool. I appreciate all the support and all that good stuff. If you're not, make sure you're following me on social media. So the link to all my social media is on my website. So the Facebook for the show, the Instagram, the Twitter. I ain't really been as active on Twitter as I normally have been lately. I mean, I tweets though, but we'll get into that later because your girl been struggling. But TamaraTheDon.com, the link is in the episode notes on both YouTube and whatever audio platform you're on. And podcast shout out. So Crime and Roses podcast is this week's podcast shout out. And they are a true crime and bachelor recap podcast. So they combine their two favorite things they said. Have not listened to the show. You know, I told y'all, I'll tell y'all. But they're in a retweet group with me, super supportive. So, you know, definitely wanted to give them a shout out. Their Linktree information will be in the episode notes. And then I know y'all is just ready. You know what I'm saying? So the next podcast happy hour is Saturday, July 24th. It's going to be on Jay's platform. So J-Boog. Well, actually, her Twitter is like formerly J-Boog for show because she got banned. But the link to her stuff is in the episode notes to her Twitter. So Jay's Quick 3 is her podcast. It's going to be at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. So make sure you tune in. And if you don't know what the podcast Lord, hold on. Let me just get the Bus and Blue thing. Yes, I'm back to the Bus and Blue thing. You know, last week I was Juneteenth, and last week I was on some I want to be a real nigga, and so I'm gonna drink Hennessy, and I'm cool on that. I never was a Henny, whatever. I never was a Henny drinker. You know, I might bust it out every now and then, but vodka and rum are really my go-tos, and that's the liquor that I rotate between when I make the Bus and Blue thing, depending on my mood. So yeah, I'm back good Lord, I'm back to that. Shout out to Chris because she taught me how to make it, and she accepts the fact that I renamed it the Bus and Blue thing because that is not what she named it. She named it the Perfect Cast. You know what I'm saying? But it's that Bus and Blue thing. You feel me? No, I don't gangbang. It's just bussin' and it's blue. Okay. All right. So yeah, podcast happy hour. Basically, what that is myself, J-Boog, who's hosting this month, Chris from Shenanigans with Friends podcast, Autumn from the Lit Life podcast, and Audrey from Odd Tales podcast. We get together. We're friends. We get together once a month and rotate platforms. And basically what we do offline, so we have movie nights, we have virtual happy hours and all these things. So we decided to go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, make it a monthly show. So yeah, this month Jay is hosting, and if you want to get a sneak preview of, it's not the brand name, but it's one of the designs for the brand, I will be wearing that on the podcast happy hour. So if you want to see that, you're going to have to check that out. July 24th again at 9/8/6, so 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific on JBoog's platform. The brand is set to launch next month. Like I'm have this whole, marketing rollout and whatnot. So more to come on that, but I'm not announcing the official name until we got to do things strategically out here. I got to keep y'all wondering like, ooh, what's she talking about? But trust me, it's dope. A lot of thought, heart, soul. I started really thinking about how really 9 months ago is ish, 8, 9 months ago, because I'm pretty sure it was like December when I came up with the idea. And like I've said on here, I was just going to design some merchandise, as you guys have seen me do from time to time or talk about if you've been following me for a while. And then there was just something about this that I didn't want to just put it on a shirt. I wanted to protect it. So I started looking into trademarking, and long story short, ultimately that's how my company came about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I started a consulting company. So I do a few special projects, resume and cover letter writing, small business, standard operating procedure writing, and then coaching for job readiness, goal success and accountability strategies, I think is what it's called. And then content creator stuff, more so like networking efficiencies, branding, marketing, professional etiquette, a lot of the things that I've learned that, I mean, some folks I feel like could benefit from, especially the professional etiquette part of podcasting, because just because we are content creators does not mean we shouldn't have professional etiquette. And but so these are the things that are going to be what I'm going to be doing with my company. But I started the company so that the brand could be under the umbrella of something. And then there's the trademarking and, all that good stuff. So it's crazy that, I mean, it's going to come to pass, but with all things that I'm trying to achieve right now, even the Snatch 40s, I've had to have this mindset of I'm going to get it by any means necessary. That's why that's the episode title, because it's like there is so much going on right now. I know I've told y'all that I'm in the process of moving. Like I'm pretty sure I found a place, but it's not certain simply because so the place won't be ready till the end of July, and I can't even look at it. I can't even look at like a similar apartment with the layout. They were just like, we can't show you anything until the apartment's ready. And I think part of it is because they're doing some remodeling, because I saw that on their website, which I'm a fan of that. And it's funny because I said apartment because y'all know the struggle I had in my last place. And so I learned a lot from that, because one thing is that because of the pandemic, I did everything online with that. And had I have saw the place in person, the building, the whatever, I probably wouldn't have went there. And so I'm trying to do this differently. And so I filled out 95%. I mean, I've filled out the complete application. I just haven't paid the fees, because if I see this and let's say the building stinks, because that's how it was in my previous apartment building, and you would see people throw trash in the building and just stuff that's like super unnecessary. And I'm not a super clean freak, but at the same time, I have a sensitive nose when it comes to smells. So I'm not trying to have it smell, in the building and then seeping into the apartment, especially more in the summer. But then also, excuse me, hold on. I'm not trying to be somewhere where people don't take pride in where they live and they just throw trash. Like literally, I don't even throw trash outside. Excuse me, Lord. Lord. allergy been out of control. I've actually been staying with my brother, and he has a cat, and I like really think I'm allergic to cats because my allergies just have been so much different here than, kind of worse or whatever, but it is what it is. It's only temporary. Um but I'm not trying to live somewhere where they don't take pride in where we live, you know what I'm saying, and not throw trash in the building, so I need to peep all that, you know what I'm saying, before I commit. And so I've been in communication with the apartment managers, and they're understanding of where I'm coming from, and they're agreeing to go along with that. But if for some reason, because I've had the people that have been like, well, they may rent it out to somebody else, then that wasn't the place for me, because anybody who's going to rent a place before they actually view it, because I literally already have the appointment scheduled to view it on the day it's supposed to be ready. So if somebody else does that, then by all means, you got it. And, there's somewhere else for me. But I bring that up because it's like, it has been I have to be very like, determined, that's the word I'm looking for, to achieve my goals. Like, I finished my standard operating procedures finally. So it took me about a week to write it. So I wrote it. As I've told y'all, I haven't done anything with this company yet. And normally I dive in, figure it out as I go, and then document stuff for like efficiency purposes. So this was very much a stretch challenge. I also still work a full-time job. As y'all can see, have not missed an episode. I blog every week now, trying to stay on top of my Snatch 40s journey, you know what I'm saying? And so it has been crazy, and then trying to write standard operating procedures. But I'm glad that I did something I've never done in a way that I've never done it, because then it really solidified how I want to run my company. Like, I'm going to be the only one doing everything at first, but let's say I grow and get to the point of needing employees. The way I wrote the standard operating procedure is breaking down all the routine tasks per role as if I have employees, even though it's already me, because when I get there, I don't want to have to like create a whole document. I would rather add things and edit it and update it a little bit, as I need to, but I'm not trying to I'm just really trying to set the foundation for my company to build upon. So there's one more document that I want to create, which is just like a intake form so that I can get as much information from my clients as possible. And then that's where I'm going to be starting with accepting clients, is writing standard operating procedures. And it's so interesting because making it happen by any means necessary has been, like I said, that's really been a thing over the weekend. So last Friday night, me, my brother, and my youngest, we were all sitting up talking or whatever. He was actually like in his, I guess you want to call it like his den. We were in the living room, and like we're talking, but we're also each watching our own separate stuff or whatever. And the power went out because of a really bad storm. And the power went out like they said 180,000 homes were without power. And the power was out from about midnight Friday until 8:30 a.m. on Monday. So we went the entire weekend without power. So that was crazy. Lost all my food. Thank God I hadn't just gone grocery shopping, because I know, there are families that lost more groceries than me, but still like had to replace all those groceries. So that was a mess. Sadly, there are families that still don't have power, and it's hotter than it was over the weekend because it was upper 70s, to 80, 81 while we were without power. So while that's not ideal, it would get cooler at night. So it's kind of like like all the work that I thought I was going to do over the weekend, it didn't get done. You know what I'm saying? I would leave all day, trying to get stuff because I'm trying to find a place. There's just so many things happening at the same time. And it's like, but I have to stay goal focused. The goal is to get the like, I didn't start a company just to say I started a company. Like, I actually want to do something with it, with the brand. I didn't do all this and get the logo created by the graphic designer and, you know, the trademarking I'm working on and all that. The cool thing about trademarking though is once you submit, because I guess the trademarking process for anybody who's considering trademarking can take like 13 to 18 months for it to be like, quote unquote, like you have the paperwork and all that. But the good thing is that you are protected from the time you fill out the paperwork. So like when I launch, it's mine already. You know what I'm saying? I'm just waiting on, I'm just trying to be very strategic. I have this whole plan or whatever and how I'm going to roll it out. You know what I'm saying? And bring awareness so that people will know it's there, want to buy, starting off with just a hoodie, a t-shirt, a tank top, and a tumbler with just the female design, because as I've told you, I'm going to start out with the female side of things. I'm not creating a whole bunch of merchandise because what I've learned, so I'm kind of glad that I created a bunch of merchandise before, is that when you give too many people, when you give people too many options, like too many choices, sometimes they don't make a choice. But if you only give them like a couple of options to kind of like make it less overwhelming, then it's kind of like, well, I only can choose through this, so I have to get this. I'll add on because there's a lot of different stuff I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm just getting started, but that's what I'm going to start with. But it's kind of like, I'm not talking about all this stuff just to say, oh, this is what I'm doing. Like, if you follow me on Instagram, that's really the only reason I share certain things. Cause I forget who I was talking to, and I was telling her how her or him, because it could have been my brother. I was telling somebody, you feel me? I was telling somebody, y'all, this, I'm trying to tell y'all, I'm gonna put KOD every time I have a Bus and Blue thing and I mention it. I'm gonna put her info in the episode notes because she's taught me so many drinks. I love them all, but for whatever reason, this is my favorite. And I don't know, you know what I'm saying? You got to get with her. She does virtual stuff or whatever. But what was I saying? I don't even know. I done went on a whole bunny trail. So I guess I'll say this. I haven't done that in a long time. See, that's throwback stuff. If you been listening to me for a while, you know I used to for real always lose my train of thought. I haven't done that in a while though. But I didn't do all this just to say I did it. You know what I'm saying? The goal is to start taking clients, have the brand launch and all these things. But it's kind of like, there's so many things that they're like trying to hinder me from things happening. And then it's like, okay, deal with that. But it doesn't mean stop. It's just a obstacle that I either have to go around or go over. But it's like, by any means necessary, I'm going to start taking clients and my brand is going to launch. The prayer, the hope is that the brand is extremely successful. The prayer and the hope is also that my company is successful to the point to where I can be working for myself, even if I don't get have employees and I can only sustain my family. That's the goal. But ideally, like in my mind, I'm trying to build an empire. You know what I'm saying? Because there's just so many things I want to do with this brand. There's so many things, whatever I can do with my company that I want to do, though. I'm not going to do something for the sake of doing it. So, yeah, pretty soon. Who knows? It could be within the next week or so. I just have to create this document and then I'm going to advertise that I'm going to be taking clients for small business standard operated procedure writing. And I'm thinking maybe no more than like 5, 6 different roles. So you can have more than 6 employees, but because you can have two people doing the same roles that they're going to be doing the same task, but mine is only for 3 roles, and I'm a very like my standard operating procedures have for each section, for each role. I even wrote like the purpose of it, because what I've learned doing my current job is that a lot of the people that I train, if I tell them the why behind what we're doing, that's also how I learn. But if I tell them the why behind what we're doing and why we have to do certain things a certain way, even if they don't like it, they at least understand why. That's how I am. There are things that are not my favorite part of my job, my full-time job or whatever. But if I understand the why behind it, not only can I grab onto it, but I can kind of embrace it and like make it my own. So, yeah, that's kind of how my standard operating procedures are. So like for every section, it's broken down to the owner, that'll always be me, the account coordinator, and the consultant. And then for each task, it's like, this is what the purpose of this is. This is the step by step of how you do it. And I'm really proud of myself because it was really thorough for something I haven't even started yet. So, like I said, it really helped me think about how I want to run my company. It also lets me know the types of service docs and even fee reduction paperwork, because yes, I have fees in mind for those that can pay it, because there will be people that can. Hell, there might be somebody that want to pay more, in Jesus' name, yes. But for those that need the services but can't afford it, there's going to be a sliding fee scale. Now, there's paperwork you have to fill out, information you have to share. So you can't just say, oh, I can't afford it just for the sake of not affording it. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to start with. And the reason I'm going to start with that is because I got to start somewhere. I've always been this person that felt like I needed to do everything all at once. But what I realized is that there's beauty in the journey of baby steps, you know what I'm saying? And not feeling like, and like the marathon versus the sprint. And that has been such a mindset shift for me, because when I did run track way back in the day, I was a sprinter, you know what I'm saying? There have been times I've wanted to train for a marathon and have done it a little, you know, earlier in my, like I was in my 30 something, I can't remember. I set out to like run this marathon with somebody, and I started training, and I got to the point where I could run 9 miles without stopping. So, but you didn't just start at 9 miles, you know what I'm saying? You started at maybe like, and okay, let me say jog, not like run all super fast, but still jogging 9 miles. I can't do that. I got to build back up to that. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't start at 9 miles. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm really have realized that I can start somewhere so that I'm generating income, because as I've said, I have clients that have reached out to me as they found out what I'm doing, saying, hey, I could use these services, because a lot of people, they can just do the work. I'm a writer, you know what I'm saying? I write blogs too, but there are a lot of people that they can do the work, but they can't write out the procedures, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's why you hire me, you feel me? So, and the thing about it is, if you're someone who's listening and you're interested in these services and you don't live in the Omaha, Nebraska area, that's okay, because there's virtual appointment options anyway, just because there are some people that maybe that's more convenient. So what I love about the pandemic, you know, shout out to Rona, and I only say that sometimes when I see the beauty in it, is that my job, I still work from home. It's permanent-ish. And the reason why I say that is because I'm working from home. I'm approved to continue to work from home for however long, but there's also the option that the state, because y'all know I'm a social worker, the state could say, you know what, we've determined whatever, and then I will have to go into the office. But unless they say that, I work from home. But the beautiful thing is that I even learned how to do my job virtually. Like the way they normally train people in my role is they have people travel and do all this stuff. Well, they couldn't have me travel because there was a travel ban on the company, when I started this role, because I've been in this role about almost a year and a half. And so, I've learned how to do everything virtually with my role, and that's been really good because it ultimately set a foundation for me to know that I could start a company and I could, do things virtually, and it's going to be cool. So again, standard operating procedures, I will be accepting clients for that very, very soon. And that's another thing that I've learned about myself throughout this whole podcasting journey is that public accountability, you got to figure out what's going to keep you motivated. So I don't tell y'all all my moves. I'm very strategic about what I do share. But what I have learned about myself is that accountability to someone, even if it's just the sense of me feeling like I'm accountable, so like public accountability, it keeps me on track. So who knows, because I know I said this, I might get off of here and create the document. And how you'll know when I'm accepting clients is, for one, I'm going to announce it on my Instagram, the show's Facebook page, hell, on my personal Facebook page too, and then on my Twitter, but also on my website, tamerthedon.com, which the link is in the episode notes of YouTube and audio, you feel me? But like, there's I forget I can't think of what any of this stuff is called off the top of my head, but everything I do, there's a tab for it on my website. So there's blog, podcasting, about me, my couple merchandise sites. If you want to support me, PayPal or buy me a coffee, you know what I'm saying? As soon as I move, I am going to get back into my coffee liqueurs too. So I ain't forgot about that. But there's also the professional development and coaching tab. Right now it just says coming soon because I'm not accepting clients right now, and it says all of that on there. But now that I have my standard operating procedures going, that's where I'm going to start with, because that's something that I feel like if I wrote mine from scratch in a week, someone who already knows kind of how they do their process, it should take less than that, depending on whatever. But that's why I said about up to 5, and it could take longer depending on how many roles, but 5, maybe up to 6 different roles, but it just kind of depends. But yeah, that's why it says small business, because mine being 3 roles was 25 pages. So I can only imagine what more than that would be. Again, like I said, it's detailed, and what I would do for potential clients is give them mine as a sample just so they can kind of see how I write mine or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm starting. That'll be a way for me to generate some extra income. And like I said, the goal is to get to the point of, owning my own company. Now, the beautiful thing that I've really been thinking about is how, and I've said this before for many different things, and if you know me, I'm very reflective and I'm always thinking about whatever. Like, that's just who I am. A lot of people say, oh, it's not that deep. Everything is that deep to me. Like, I don't care what it is, and I'm not going to feel like bad about it. I am who I am. I was created the way I was created. We're all different and unique and have our own gifts and talents for a reason, and we all fill in a void that no one else can fill. You know what I'm saying? But something I've really been thinking about is gang intervention. I've talked about when I did that. So that was kind of the time I ever really, I guess, tried to work for myself myself, even though technically I was working for someone else hired as a consultant. And so what gang intervention showed me is kind of how I would do things differently as far as branching out this time, you know what I'm saying? But also just like it really the lessons that I learned from that, kind of even how I will accept payment from people, because how that worked is I worked 25 hours with a client and then I submitted all the documentation for my voucher and then I get paid. Well, the problem with that is if the probation officer or if someone, any different department at the state who processed the voucher, or even if my boss didn't look at the voucher right away because he was busy or whatever, all of those things would slow me down getting paid. And ultimately what it did is it caused a lot of financial problems because I was always waiting to get paid. I was always telling my landlord, I'm still waiting to get paid. I haven't got paid, and just all these things. And that's ultimately what made me, I mean, like, for different reasons, I stopped doing that. And a lot of it was needing to focus more on my daughter and also feeling like I needed to have a more like steady income, you know what I'm saying? But what I learned from that is two things. One, that's why I'm going to be grinding both companies until I am at a place where I have either enough money saved up or whatever to, you know, walk away from the working for someone else. But then also, two, I'm not going to do a bunch of work for people and then they pay me. Like, it's just going to be a completely different way that we pay for services. But then three, if I have employees, it's going to be my employees have a salary and they're never going to feel the effects of me waiting for money or, you know, stuff like that, because I just feel like, and this is like no shade to my boss at all. It's just the way my former boss, it's just the way the company was structured. But I just feel like I knew what I was getting into. Don't get me wrong. He told me that's how it was going to be, but it wasn't a wise move for me. He also told me something about like how he did it was he saved up a bunch of money from doing something else and da da da. So I probably should have did that, but I'm kind of glad I didn't do it that way, because sometimes I have to find things out the hard way. Like I said, I'm generally the type of person that dives in and figures it out as I go. But it just, yeah, it was a really rough season. And that some of the things going on in my life now financially are a direct result of that season, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. I'm coming out of it. I'm now thinking of ways to generate multiple streams of income, and that's kind of what I'm all about right now, just because even though my kids are older, it doesn't mean I don't want to create something to even just leave behind for them, which is why I did an S corp instead of an LLC. So many people asked me when I announced that I started my company, because I specifically said S corporation because that's what I went for. And it's so weird how many people ask me who know nothing about my goals and dreams. None of that. It's crazy how much people try to advise you when they don't even have the full story, but that's beside the point. But so many people either ask me why I didn't go LLC or try to tell me why I should go LLC. But one of the things about an LLC is that when you die, your company dissolves. And if my goal, which a lot of times when I set out to do certain things, usually everything I actually set out to do happens. You know what I'm saying? I just have never set out to do this. So if my goal is to build this company, when I die, especially with the brand, I don't want it to just dissolve. I want to leave something behind to my kids. And that's how an LLC is set up. And so that plus some other reasons is why I didn't go that route, which is why I'm such a huge promoter of Room for Roots, which is the program that I went through learned a lot of business stuff. I have a business mentor who supports me, and like I called her not too long ago, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, because I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? I know what I know about the work I'm going to be doing because I've been doing it for 10 years. I mean, this wasn't my first time writing standard operating procedures. It's just this was my first time writing them before I started doing it. Last time I wrote them, or anything else I've ever written, different documents, it's been after I've already been doing it. And then I'm like, oh, we should document this. This is the first time that I've ever been like, okay, I'm going to do this ahead of time. But I've been doing all this. So none of that part, I got, you know what I'm saying? Not saying there's not room for growth, but that part I got. But running a company and all that stuff, that's new. So that's why I went through the program instead of just doing it myself. And I've said this before, one, establishing a solid foundation that it can build upon, but two, the support, the mentorship, the resources that she's getting together, because she's seeing the different things that we are needing as her people that have come out of her program. That's so valuable. That's worth more than me just doing it on my own just to say I hurried up and did it. You know what I'm saying? So perhaps maybe this is it was maybe the slower route, you know what I'm saying? Because the program was 9 weeks, but to me it's worth it, you know what I'm saying? Because there are things that I learned that I could be secure in the fact that I decided to go S corp instead of LLC. LLC maybe for a lot of people, this is like no shade, because there were other corporation types and other this, that, and the other that, could have happened or whatever. But I chose this because this was the best route for me, for my goals, based on what I learned. So I guess that's all I got for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm really trying to just get it, reach my goals by any means necessary. It's not easy at all. But of course, when you're trying to do something and you set out to do something, you are going to be tested to see if you're really about that. Like, I'm not surprised at all, just because, like I said, I'm a person that pays attention to patterns and habits and this, that, and the other. But it's just kind of funny because I'm being tested in like all kinds of areas. Like, it's not just starting a company, it's even finding a place. Because I hate doing three things. I hate looking for a place, I hate looking for a job, and I hate when I have to buy a car. Those are the three things that I hate doing. And the crazy thing is with the whole finding a place thing or whatever, which I've looked into townhomes, I've looked into houses, I've looked into apartments too. And the interesting thing about it is that online it'll say, oh, this is available. And a lot of times I schedule a viewing online and then they would cancel it because somebody else took it. Now, this isn't, I talked to somebody though. This is just, that's how their process was, where you do it through some online scheduling thing. So I feel a little bit better about the way I'm going about it now, because I've talked to somebody on the phone. I started to go there, but it was like raining like crazy, pouring. And so I drove there, but I'm like, well, let me see if they gonna answer the phone so I could avoid having to get out in the rain, because otherwise I would have. But I've talked to people on the phone. I've emailed back and forth. They're very responsive, quick responsive as well, because I've just dealt with a lot of different things with a lot of different either house, townhome, or apartment management companies or whatever. And so I do feel good about that. You know what I'm saying? But one thing about me and all things, even if I really set out to have something happen, hope it happens, and all this thing and all this stuff, is that I know what's for me is for me. You know what I'm saying? So if it doesn't come to me, it's not for me. Everything that's ever been for me has been for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's been mine, and I've gotten it, and nothing has been able to stop me from achieving it, receiving it, whatever. So it's kind of like I'm not pressed. Now, obviously, I would love to hurry up and be somewhere just so I can, feel more settled. But, it is what it is. And it's been really cool living with my brother. He's younger than me by 12 years. And so we haven't lived together since he was little. And so it's interesting, grown man him, you know what I'm saying? And I was telling my daughter one time, like sometimes when he I told him this too, when he cusses sometimes in my mind, I'd be like, ooh, because sometimes I just still think of him as that little kid who at the mall when he was 4 and I was 16, you know what I'm saying? And I was ready to go because we had to go. And he didn't want to leave the arcade and he was screaming and acting a fool in the mall. And I was finna leave him. You know what I'm saying? I have no kids. I have no patience for that. Sometimes I still think of him as not that little, but just, you know what I'm saying? So it's been really cool. But of course, he don't got no kids. He lives by himself. So I know he's gracious. He wouldn't put us out. It's not nothing like that. But at the same time, I know when you're used to having your own space and not having to navigate around people, you know what I'm saying? It could be a little whatever. But at the same time, he understands that stuff has just not been available. And it's interesting. But he's also given me some insight into the process from what he's learned, because I'm not like always looking for places, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's all I got for you. I'm out here. Like I said, you'll get a sneak preview of the design at the podcast happy hour because I ordered a sample of the shirt and I'm gonna wear it. And like I said, I'll be very, very soon accepting clients if you are needing small business standard operating procedures written for your company. You don't have to live in Omaha. You can live wherever as long as we can connect virtually. I'll set up a Zoom appointment. Like I have things in place to do all that. I just am not quite ready, but like I said, this will get me moving. But as always, most important things, this is all great what I'm talking about, but the most important things, take care of yourself mentally and emotionally. Make sure you're healthy, doing what you got to do, process your issues, whatever. Take care of yourself physically, get sleep, eat decent, whatever. I had to switch my diet because this last month, I'd say, probably further, I've been kind of eating kind of stupid, and I just kind of started noticing some stuff. So I'm like, oh, I'm not on no strict diet, but there's just stuff that I don't need to be on, you know what I'm saying? And then make sure you're taking care of yourself spiritually. We all have a spirit. We all need to be healthy. As I always say, mine is my relationship with God. Whatever that is for you, figure that out. Be healthy. You know what I'm saying? And be healthy in your relationships. These toxic relationships are very detrimental to society. You know what I'm saying? So, excuse me, my bad. But that's all I got for y'all. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you check out the podcast happy hour on Saturday, the 24th at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. All right. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for...